we're talking about largely how women have been equated to balance the relationships around us, right?
Hmm.
My next question, or the following question that I had in my mind, was with respect to this, managing relationship expectations. Like, as a we all have been through that phase where we just want to be a good so-called a mother, a daughter, a sister, a partner, at work. What do we do about these things? It just thins us out. There is no balance that I ever see happening. A lot of women who come to us, and some of us sitting here also carry the guilt, like, oh, you know what, because I was working, my spouse keeps complaining, I don't get time for my own self. What do I do? What do I do with that expectations that I have created around the relationships that we have?
Yeah, so this is another really important one, Shruti. The point is, we first have to see, why is this happening? And if we take that apart and deconstruct that, we'll find that firstly, there is a conflict between the demands that the various roles place on us. And so there's conflict at level one. Many hats, many expectations, many roles, and some of these roles may be at conflict with each other. Then there is a second degree of conflict, which is how I see my role and what my expectation, let's say, what is my expectation as a mother, as opposed to what is my husband's expectation of me as a mother, or me as a daughter-in-law. And so there is a second degree which needs to be renegotiated, his expectations and my expectations. And then there is a mismatch at a third degree, which is my expectations from the role and my reality in the role. Now, I might think that I can do something. Just as an example, if I think I can bake a cake in 30 minutes, but the reality is that when I actually take the time from start to end, that may end up being 1 hour, 30 minutes. I thought कि मैं फटाफट जाके कर लूंगी. So can you see, similarly, my expectation in motherhood, being the good daughter-in-law, it may be one thing when my in-laws are perfectly healthy, and maybe it takes my half an hour of quality time with them in the evening. But what happens when the in-laws start ailing, when they need hospitalization, when they need medical help, and suddenly you need someone to take time off every other day from their jobs and take them to the hospital, and the husband expects you to do it because his job, or I can't do it, or whatever be your equation in that relationship. So I'm saying these are the 3 degrees at which the expectations conflict arise, and which really means that we need to negotiate the difference at all of those 3 levels. That's one thing. The second issue that arises is that when we wear these various roles, they become like this. Now, for the lack of, I wish I had some circles or some bangles, but I'm showing you this circle is, say, let's say my one hat, I'm the mother, I am the wife, there'll be another circle, daughter-in-law, there'll be the sister, there'll be whatever else. We wear these circles like this, floating in a larger ecosystem of ourselves. The circles ought to be like this, intersecting, all intersecting. And why do I say this? Because somewhere where all these 4 or 5 circles intersect, there is a center. That center should be me. Because when we don't intercept, I lose an idea of मैं कौन हूँ? Who am I? And often after 30 years of playing these roles, women are asking the question, where is Susie? What happened to her? Does she even exist? So it's important that we always keep in touch with what I want, what is my expectation from myself in each role, these 3 layers that I spoke of. At each level, I need to periodically review my expectations from myself. What kind of a mother do I want to be? And can I manage that role along with the other 2 or 3 roles that I may be playing at that phase in my life? And similarly, how can I have this conversation with my partner or my spouse about what his expectations are, my expectations are? We never have that conversation, but we keep having conflict. So he may get triggered because he expected, it was in his head that I thought you'd take care of it. But you thought that it's his parents, so maybe he'll take care of it. And there's no dialogue. And so there is conflict. And that conflict leaves you feeling even more guilty. So I'm saying actively negotiate that. But most importantly, can you downsize the expectations you have from yourself? Why is it that we are so perfection afflicted? Why do we need to be the perfect mother? We can't have all 4 burners working all through our lives because we will burn ourselves out. If you have 4 roles, 2 burners have to be burning more brightly than the other 2. You'll have to compromise somewhere. That's the ground reality. Or you may choose to give something up. I mean, I can quote from my life experience that I've always been a fairly ambitious person. And I remember the time when I wanted to extend the family and have a second child. And I'd signed up a very prestigious job. And then the thought occurred to me that if my first child was an experiment in being a working mother. I wanted my second child to be my experiment in being a stay-at-home mother so that I could have a first-hand experience of how does this make a difference to childbearing, child rearing. And the second time round, after my son was born and I was planning to go back to work after I'd given the 6 months, like I did in my daughter's case, I'd given some time off. I realized, because I was also more mature and I was wiser perhaps, that if I went back to work at a point in time when my child needed me the most, I may have a very successful innings at work. But by the time I retired and I had the time available to invest in my child, he would have grown up and he would be flying the nest and we would never really have a meaningful bond. And therefore, there would be no real connection. There would be no transference of values, the essence that I wanted to sort of embody him with, or I've chosen to bring this soul into my life. And if I didn't have the time, then why did I make this choice? And so I just decided, okay, I am not going to go back to work. I will reinvent myself from home and do what I need to from home so that I'm always in the physical vicinity. And I said, I'll give 10 years of my life to this child. At 10 years, I sat my kids down and I said, Mama needs to go back to work. And I really need to do my thing. And the children said, don't leave home, do it from home. So I said, okay, great. And therefore, I started something from home. At that point, it was a gourmet delivery business that I was doing, all these bakes and cakes and all of that. That's how my sort of second bloom period started. You know, I was able to balance the expectations and the reality. And now that my son has just, he's going to be 19 and he's going to fly the nest very, very soon, I'm ready for my second bloom. I've brought up my kids, I've done my thing, I've had my first bloom in advertising, I've taken the period off to invest in my children's upbringing and rearing, and I'm ready to fly again. But those are personal choices because I knew I couldn't keep more than 2 burners burning brightly. I can't be superwoman in every area all the time, but I can invest myself and excel in certain areas during certain phases of my life. So I think those are the choices that one needs to make with regards to expectations, relationships, and roles, Shruti.